Wow, it's a very small print also. Hari Om Sadaji, thank you for expounding Vedanta in an understandable way. I still have difficulty in grasping some concepts. Brahman's Swarupa Lakshanam is absolute Sat Chit Ananda. Number one, I could grasp existence part of it. Very good. I have difficulty with consciousness. As Rama says, Astiras Sarva Evaiti. All these are impermanent. It appears to me that even consciousness may be impermanent. All consciousness I observed in others seem to be impermanent. And it may be so in me too. But our Shastras seem to imply it to be eternal. Please explain in more detail if possible. I hope the questioner is here. If consciousness is impermanent, question raised also is how do you know? I cannot say other people's consciousness, so I only can tell about my consciousness. So if my consciousness has a beginning, then somebody has to be conscious of the beginning, because it has a beginning. So that consciousness, because of which I am conscious of the beginning of the consciousness, that consciousness should not have beginning. In essence, it says now udeti na astameti, it is neither can have a beginning nor an end, because to have a beginning or end, someone has to be conscious of that beginning and end. And therefore, that consciousness which is aware of the beginning of the consciousness has to be conscious entity. And that you are. Because no other conscious entity is there, because you can see everything else is an object only. So therefore, you even say, I don't know whether I will be there. You will know, because you are the one who will be knowing. If you are not there, how do you know that you are not there? So that question doesn't arise because consciousness by itself cannot have beginning or end. And it cannot have the boundaries of that also. Because if I say there is some boundary, this is where up to consciousness, then the unconsciousness starts. So how do you know the unconsciousness? So I am conscious of the unconsciousness, I have to say, because there is unconsciousness there. So if I say I am conscious of something, it has to be in my consciousness to be conscious of. So every objective perception takes place only when the object raised as though in my consciousness, sustained by my consciousness, goes back into me only. That's why I am conscious of the beginning and end of anything, any thought also. So I should be pervading the thought to know the thought content. So every part of the thought I should know. Every part of the wave, there should be water, because then water cannot exist without the water. In the same way, consciousness is self-conscious. It doesn't need another conscious to know this consciousness. I don't need another light to see the light. Therefore, it is self, swayambhuhu and swayam prakashaha. And only that which is self-conscious only is self-existent. That will come later. But the fact of the matter is, existence of this is established by a conscious entity, but consciousness need not be established by some other conscious entity, because it is Swayam Jyotihi. That's what we did in the Arati also. Natatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto banti kutoyam agnihi tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. So we are showing the light, at the same time singing this song says, this cannot, neither the Vidyut nor any of the lights can illumine. Natatra suryo bhati. The sun is not required to shine on you for me to see. Neither the moon nor the stars, not even the silly light that I am showing. Yet I am singing that. Why? Because you are the light. I don't need any light to see the light. All I need to do is remove my ignorance that you are only here and not everywhere. There cannot be any beginning for consciousness, because somebody should be conscious of the beginning of consciousness. That has to be conscious being, right? So it becomes anavastu dosha. It becomes ad infinity. It becomes one, now who is conscious of that consciousness beginning? Then you have to bring another consciousness. So it becomes a problem. So only way is consciousness has to be beginningless. Even considering eternal existence and eternal consciousness to Brahman, why should I concede bus as the essential quality of Brahman? In fact, non-existence of bliss. Non-existence of bliss seems to be easy to prove than its existence. What to say about absolute bliss? I don't know. I hope you understand the question. Even conceding the eternal existence, eternal consciousness of Brahman, why should I concede bliss as an essential quality of it? It's not actually bliss. Bliss is a translation of Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Anantameva Anandaha. Infiniteness is bliss. Not the bliss is what it is, truth. What is it is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam are the Swarupa Lakshanas. So infiniteness is bliss because it is infinite. There are no limitations. Infinite means it is limitless. Because the problem of suffering comes because of limitations. I am unhappy because of something. Because of something other than me is causing a problem for me. Right? Therefore, I am unhappy. So, if there is nothing other than me, I am happy. I don't complain. You don't complain in your deep sleep state. You have no problems, right? Everybody sleeps comfortably. Why? There is nobody to come cause you problems. That's why deep sleep state is also Ananda, where all the sorrows are being removed. But is it Anantam? Of course, deep sleep state is Anantam. Why? There is no Antam. For you, there is no space and time because you are already infinite. In fact, infinite word itself drops out also. Because infinite is only with respect to finite things, you say that is infinite. But from the point of that, in the deep sleep state, how can you describe deep sleep state? All I say, I don't know. That's all you can tell. So therefore, when you can say the limitlessness is Brahman, and that you call it lack of any sorrow, therefore it is bliss. Okay? Any unhappiness comes because of limitation. That's a fundamental problem. I think I am only this, therefore I am limited by what I think I am as this. This body, this mind, this intellect, or whatever I have, this is mine, that is me. All those enclosing as this includes exclusion of some other things that I don't have or I am not. And therefore, that limitation, feeling of limitations contribute to samsara. Whereas, when you say, you are Brahman, means you are Anantam, therefore you are limitless, therefore you are Ananda Swarupa, Anandameva Anandaha. And that is what is essentially implied as bliss. So there is nothing to prove. You do have to prove that you are happy in the deep sleep state. There's nothing, it's an experience actually, right? And that's exactly what Vedanta talks about. Human experience only, it takes into consideration and analyze the problem. And whenever you are happy with whatever you desired and the object came to you, you are happy at those moments. That's only because you are full in those seconds. Because there is no longing mind, wanting mind, I want this is not there because you got what you wanted. Until you want something else later comes in. But until that fractions of second when you say, I'm happy, that means you are full, contented. That's called santosha. That's what Vasistha said in the... Scripture is inferred in so many different ways. So it is difficult to grasp what is saying, at least to me. Thank you. Now, scripture is not inferring. Scripture is a statements of fact. That's why it's called apaurshayam for us. Because it is a fact that is beyond inference. Inference is a law, called anumana pramana. Inference is anumana pramana. And anumana pramana relays on pratyaksha pramana for validation. Remember this all pramanas are being analyzed systematically. So inference itself is a means of knowledge, and means of knowledge operates when I do not see directly. Therefore, I infer from what I see. I see that smoke is there, but I infer that there must be smoke there, because without a smoke, there cannot be fire. So I infer fire, presence of fire, by seeing only smoke. In the same way, those inferences are established by drishtanta. Drishtanta means examples. Just like in the kitchen, wherever there is a fire, there is a smoke. That's been my experience. So I extend this, the relationship between the cause, hetu and sadhya, that's called cause and relationship. Then it's called a vyapti jnanam, a concomitant relation between these two is established beforehand by experimental observation. From that, I make a conclusion for things that are in the that when I see a fire, then I infer. But scripture is not based on any pramana itself. Itself is a pramana. And therefore, how did it come? Because it came from the God. It's revealed, absolute truths are revealed to the rishis who are Veda drashtas, and they passed on to their disciples, and their disciples passed on their disciples. That's why everyone heard from their teacher, and that's what we call Shruti. Okay? So it's not based on any other, itself is a pramana. There's no inference involved in that. According to our scriptures, do you have to live with your parents in their old age? Do our scriptures address that? My mother is here, sitting there right now. Vanitaji, I'm just calling. Scripture does all this, these are all transactional world, right? If mother could take care of you when you are not in a position to do anything, you can't even cry, she is ready to feed you when you are a baby and taking care of you from the birth all on. And what is my role when she is in a position that I have to take care of her? Scripture has to tell this is a common sense, right? And scripture tells you what is required. It says this is your duty. Dharma. That's why it says, Matru Devo Bhava, because she is the first teacher. She is to tell you, beta, this is your father. Otherwise, I won't know anybody. And the mother is so sacred, therefore, the first priority is given to the mother, and the father comes, then only comes the teacher. Because she is the first teacher. Therefore, taking care of parents, I don't need scripture to tell me. This is simple common sense. My parents took care of me. They gave me education. What I am today is because of my parents. And what should I do? Should I take care of it? The question itself becomes invalid. If you can take care of it, that's a separate issue. But if you are in a position to take care of it, you should take care of it. That's becomes your duty. No scripture need to teach you that. It's a common sense. Of course, scripture also tells you that it's your duty to take care of your parents also. I have heard that sannyasa is not essential for moksha. Grihastha is acceptable, but is brahmacharya inside grihastha essential for moksha? You are asking this to a non-sannyasi. Tyage naiki amrutatvamanasahu. Scripture says, that's what we chant also. Tyage naiki amrutatvamanasahu. Only by renunciation you can realize the truth. That's a statement. But renounce what? Renounce what belongs to you as the ownership. What is that you have to renounce? So this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. And I am this, I am this, I am this. Where I am not really this, because this is an object and I am a subject. I cannot be this. You renounce that. Because you say, I am the body, I am the mind, and I am intellect. I am taking the limitations of the body and mind and intellect as my limitations. And scripture says, Tyage naike amrutatva. So you have to give up that. Otherwise, you are holding on to this, I am this. How can you realize? So realization involves dropping the wrong notions about myself first. Okay? That has to be understood. So therefore, renunciation is essential for knowledge. If we understand that. Because Brahman is everywhere. What should I renounce? Nothing. If I have to renounce, this belongs to me, only I can renounce. I am renouncing the presidentship of the United States. What do you mean? I'm not even a president. How can I renounce that? I can only renounce if I'm already president, right? So first I should have ownership to say I have renounced, but it's not, you're not even an owner. Nothing is given to you, you have to leave everything before you leave. And other people are make sure that you leave everything here and not taken with you. So therefore, you came with nothing and you are leaving everything here, then what is there for me to hold on to, for me to renounce? So renunciation has to be understood, what the scripture says. Scripture is not involved in terms of whether you are this or that and that. You are already Brahman, but renounce that you are not a Brahman first. Then you know that you are Brahman. But if you apply, do I need a sannyasa as you are talking about ashrama, then I'll give the statement what Ramana Maharshi said. He says, it is not essential, but it is helpful. Okay, understand that? Why? Because I want to contemplate on that, and for me, I am getting distracted with the world around as I am transacting in the world. It's difficult for me to pull myself out. So you have Shama and Dhamma. Dhamma is getting involved in each, physically and mentally, so on. So first, withdraw myself to contemplate on higher. I want to study physics intensely. I want to become expert in that. Then renounce your involvement in all other things. Concentrate on the physics. Go to a teacher where physics is taught. So I have to withdraw my mind, which is running around all over, and contemplate on the direction where I can gain that knowledge that I want. This is true for everything. Same true for Adhyatmika Vidya also, where your mind has to be purified and quietened so that I can contemplate on the higher reality without much disturbance. Then sannyasa will be helpful. But I can take orange robes and then still be a grihastha. Remember I told you yesterday the Kaupinam story? As long as Kaupinam is sticking to you, attached to you, there is no problem. But if you are attached to the Kaupinam, then there is a problem. I don't know, Kaupinam is a lion cloth. So I can get attached to even small things also. Oh, this is my space, that is my space. I had to sleep only in the grass, not on the Dunlop bed. I think someone complained, maybe a long time ago when they had a inauguration of Benares in the university, and they invited a big Swami to come from Himalayas, and when he went to sleep, there's a big air-conditioned room, and Swami, they tried to make him comfortable. He said, I cannot sleep here. So what's the problem? I need my whatever store or whatever that he is used to sleeping in that. So how is he sannyasi compared to other sannyasi? So if I need only particular things for me to be, then that is not real sannyasi. Real sannyasi is, I accept whatever that comes, but I don't depend on it as my essential for me to survive also. So if you really ask me, because you're asking a grihastha now. Grihastha means one who is married. My wife is not here right now yet, but at least she is here. So you know that sannyasa is required. It is not essential, but it is helpful, provide the required environment if your wife allows you or husband allows you. Dear Sadaji, if discriminations at the transactional level is necessary, is there a subtle difference in this discrimination texture among a worldly possessions? A samsari is question, I don't know, I can't realize. Tanani, Mahatma, with respect to making a delusion and taking action. I don't understand the handwriting a little bit. Is a discrimination necessary? Discrimination you cannot but do. When I'm seeing a chair is different from a table. So in any perception, automatically the differences between the objects come because these attributes of each object is different. So I cannot but discriminate. Otherwise your bank accounts become my bank accounts. Because your bank account is still your bank account, my bank account is my bank account. So the discrimination at the transactional level has to go on for the world to go on, for you to live in the world, as long as you are living in this world. Food is food, garbage is garbage. There has to be discrimination. Otherwise you will be confused, right? So that is the very Vyavaharika Satyam involves all that. Now, the question is, discrimination lecture among worldly, is there a difference in discrimination of worldly person versus a sannyasi or jnani or Mahatma? Simple question I'll ask you. You're all scientists, right? You know fundamental particles, electrons, protons, neutrons, that's all fundamental particles. But same fundamental particles is everywhere. So every object is made of these fundamental particles. Now, just because I am a scientist, do I distinguish iron from gold or not? Garbage from food or not? So all these, it doesn't matter. Once I know the fundamentally, it doesn't matter who it is a fact of, at the transaction level, discrimination has to go as they are. Nothing will be different. Just because my wife will agree, I won't give her an iron chain, I give her gold. Not that she may project. You told in the class, give me gold. It is not that. But the point is, iron is iron, gold is gold, this is gold. All those transactional realities we have to go on exactly as it is. Where the problem comes into picture is, I am superimposing on top of the objects my subjective values to it. Okay? Where a ajnani is different from a jnani. Where ajnani superimposes emotional values are putting on top of it and get disturbed because his emotions get disturbed. Whereas a jnani, he sees the emotions at that level only, but from the absolute point, he doesn't see that. Because that's only emotional aspects, but absolute point is just as it is. He's a person, he's a person, he's a person, he's a person. To give an incident of Swami Chinmayanji, we used to organize his lectures here and all that. And at that time there was no Chinmaya mission and all that. It's only me and my wife and a couple of people are Chinmaya mission. That's all. There's nothing much there. So we used to organize his lectures, and at that time I was asking for help from all other organizations there. And there's Vishwa Hindu Parishad, and there's so many other organizations. And they were not, none of them, or particularly Vishwa Hindu Parishad, none of them were coming to my help at that time. And when Swamiji came to Washington, people from Vishwa Hindu Parishad wanted to meet him. So they called me and said, so Swamiji, this is a problem, they wanted to see you. He said, who are they? Do you know them? Ask me. So these are the people who didn't want to help me in even organizing this, but anyway, they want to see you. Because Swamiji was a founder of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad. I don't know if you know one of the founders. So okay, I let them come and ask them to come and see me. So when they came, he really blasted them for not getting involved in it. Anyway. So I didn't realize that Swamiji can be so angry. Then Suddenly that gentleman was, after that, he was getting up and he had a problem, leg problem. Immediately his tone changed and he was asking about the person, why he is having a problem, what has to be done, and he was recommending where he has to go in order to solve his problem. It's completely ulta seedha, a change in attitude and approach to the person because the problem is different now. Other problem is there, but this problem is different. This is an individual problem which is about personal problem, which has nothing to do with all this society problem, that organizational problem. So he comes down immediately to that. So what does Mahatma do? I'm trying to just give you an example. He has to get what has to be done at that time. So when we took to Swamiji to Harrisburg to give a lecture, there was a Harrisburg Hari temple used to be there, maybe still there. And when he started lecture, all the kids were running left and right and making a lot of noise, and parents are, it was difficult to listen anybody there, particularly children running, screaming all over. He stopped the lecture and blasted the parents, left and right, because of your indiscipline, children are indisciplined here. Because if you don't know how to take care of this, you have not taught them. Do you see this in a church like this anywhere? Why in Hindu temples like this? Particularly when the lecture is going on. So he blasted them, and somebody said, how can Swamiji can be angry? Because he doesn't need that kind. You don't need Vedanta lecture. You need only this kind of lecture right now. Because other lecture is not useful. This lecture is more useful right now. Because that's what he gave you. So a Mahatma, if you ask, does he see? He also sees the differences, but also he sees the oneness in the differences also. But when he needs anger, he gives anger. When he needs compassion, he gives a compassion. And that you will see, in fact, your sister is going to tell that also. At least that much I can understand from the writing there. Dear Sadaji, when we leave here, we say we must return to the transactional world and be the best at all the roles we play. But do we not often misuse this to justify and compromise? To use your analogy from this morning, eating the garbage from before, telling ourselves it's all just atoms. If so, I feel this is the root cause why we are unable to abide in this knowledge. Very good. We are still attached and afraid to let go of the lower. So this is not a question, this is a declarative statement. So, yes, you have to let go. And that's all I can tell what this is about, basically. That's why he said, Tyage naike amritattvam. Only by renunciation of wrong values or wrong understanding, only one can realize. How do I renounce the wrong values and wrong understanding? By getting right values and right understanding. How do I get right values and right understanding? By following Vedanta. Because that's all interrelated. How does scene limit the seer? How does the scene limit the layer? Because there are two. There is a seer and the scene. Seer is an object. Seer is a subject and scene is an object. And there is the distinction already. That's a difference. And seer cannot be object. Seer cannot be seen. So any scene is inert. So I see chair, but chair cannot see me. I see this, I see that, I see that. Everything that I see is only an object for me, that is seen. It is this is this, this is this. And I am the one who is a seer. And I cannot see myself. Because I cannot say I am this. Then this is an inert, where I am a subject. So I cannot be this. Therefore, I cannot be an object for my own perception. I can objectify everything else, but I cannot objectify myself. I am. So what should I do to see myself? What do I see to see myself? I want to see my face. Somebody said there's a black mark somewhere here. I want to know. I cannot see. What do? Go to mirror. So what happens in the mirror? Mirror is not my face. But mirror is in front of the mirror. I look at myself and then see. I see my face there. So I am looking at a bimbam, the pratibimbam, the reflection of myself, and from the reflection of what I see, I correct myself, right? So darshana, I say scripture is like a mirror. It is telling you what you really are. This is me, this is you. It's not what you think you are, this is what you are. You are Satchidananda Swarupam, not what you think as you are this. For that I need a mirror, because I cannot see my face otherwise, right? To see myself, I need a mirror. So, scripture becomes a mirror for me to know myself. So, what should I do then? See. So, am I the reflection? No. Using the reflection, see myself. Follow? So, seeing in the mirror, I am seeing the image and recognize this is my face. Don't polish the image on the mirror. No, you have to polish here. What powder you apply, don't there, not on the image. You apply on the face only. So all decorations you are doing of face, looking at the mirror and looking at the image. The same way what I am doing is, through the reflection, I am seeing the original. Now follow what I said. It is the reflection of the consciousness on the mind is called Chidabhasa. And that reflection, I had to see the original. Using the reflection. If the mirror is disappeared, then I cannot see my face. So I need the mind, and using my reflection, I had to see who am I, what is that original nature. So that is the essence also. So how does seeing limit the seer? That's how it limits. Because seeing is different from the duality. You explained it to some extent, but I still find it hard to transact with the world. That's why we are going to have another Memorial Day weekend camp also. So, because of this problem. It's hard to transact with the world through the mind while abiding in the non-dual principle. How can I do it? So this way you need a purification of the mind. All the yogas are meant for that. So only way to do it is Sravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. There are no shortcuts here. You have to keep listening to the scriptures, contemplating on it, and more dhyanam on that. And that is the only way you will be able to see yourself. And then you will start teaching also others also how to see also. So there is no shortcuts here. And for you to do Shravanam and Mananam and Nididhyasanam, you have to have prepared mind itself, because every mind cannot be here able to, because you will become restless. So mind should be conducive enough to listen to all this. That means mind has to be prepared. For that only Karma Yoga and all that selfless service helps to prepare the mind, so that Jnana Yoga, Yogyata you will get for. That means you are able to listen at least to the scriptural teaching. Then slowly that has to sink into it. Because we have lived many millions of lives we have lived with this ajnanam, and don't expect everything suddenly like this. Okay? It takes a lot of time. People sometimes, if not this life, next life also. But whatever you start, once Vedantic education starts, that will never leave you. Only guarantee Krishna gives you that guarantee in the 6th chapter. Says, just in case you are not realized and kick the bucket after attending many Memorial Day camps, or after attending the Bhagavad Gita classes and all that, even if you are not realized, all that will not be wasted, because you will be born in an environment conducive for your rapid growth, because you already have done all the things. We call Saptavada Nyaya. Saptavada Nyaya story? So, 2 people went to the Indian restaurant. They want to say, what is there? They went late to a hotel. Say, we have vada. So the fellow at that time used to give all the list of menu, because there are no menu books. He said, he gave vada, uttapam, all those things. He says, vada. What is it? He said, vada can fill up the stomach, because this fellow is hungry. These 2 guys came there. The fellow one was very hungry. He says, can vada fill up this? Yeah, it can, if you eat. So, okay, give me 1 vada. So everybody, both ordered 1 vada. So he ate 1 vada. Nothing happened. So give me 1 more vada. So 1 more vada. Like that it went on. Other fellow stopped with 1 vada, because he was full. This fellow went on 7 vadas. So how much vada cost? At that time, 1 rupee. Now maybe 100 rupees, who knows? But at that time, 1 rupee. So he says, he paid. So but that fellow's bill is only, the server was shouting, 7 rupees, 1 rupee. Shouting there from the kitchen that they have to pay. This fellow pays only 1 rupee. Even though he ate 7 vadas, he pays only 1 rupee. He says, why you ate 1 rupee? Because I asked him, what vada fills stomach? All he brought unnecessarily 6 vadas. And only vada that filled my stomach is only the 7th vada. So he kept me busy unnecessarily with eating 6 vadas. He would have brought me 7th vada itself, first time itself, then I would have been finished. He says, look at my friend, he brought the 7th vada first time itself, he stopped with 1 vada. If you ask the fellow, what happened to you? He says, no, I ate 6 vadas at home already. I am already full, 1 vada is enough for me. Implication is, if you already had 6 vadas in your previous life, 1 vada will do. Otherwise, you have to go through all the 6 vadas before you get fulfilled. That means if your preparation was not there in the past, you have to prepare. But whatever you prepared, nothing will be wasted. Solpam alpasya dharma, even a little bit of it will help you, provided it goes on. Once you will be born in a rich family or conducive family to propel you rapidly into that. So you see Mahatma suddenly becoming, because they have already done 6 vadas in the previous life. Okay, that's what it is. So how can I do it? That is the way. How can Vishwam, that is illusory, be Brahman, that is real? That is, it is. So any illusion is not really real. It is changing real. That's why we don't use the word Mithya as illusion. It is temporary. So anything temporary should have something permanent as a basis. That is the fundamental law. That's what you do in chemistry. I told you A plus B is equal to C plus D. That's what you are learning in the chemistry equation. So what do? You balance it. What does balancing means? Mass this side has to be mass that side. That's the balancing, conservation of law. So there has to be something remain constant in this transformations. So in the changing things, A plus B turning into B, C plus D, there has to be something conserved. And Krishna says, what is conserved in all these things is only existence. Asato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate satha. That which exists can never cease to exist. And non-existence can never come into existence. That's absolute law of conservation, not only for anything, but even for soul also it is. Natvevaham jatunasam natvam nemi janadipaha. Nataiva navavishyamaha. Sarvevayamastha param. This is, you are not, I was there, he was there, everybody was there before also. That means consciousness is always there, existing. And therefore nothing is lost. Therefore, the illusion, any changing involves changeless entity as substance. If water is becoming ice becoming into steam, there has to be some H2 all the time, which is changeless, right? That's a basic transformation where there has to be changeless entity in the changing things. And that's exactly what the scriptures talks about. Scriptures are not illogical. Please know that. Scriptures are not illogical. But it points something beyond the logic. Because my existence is not logic. I don't have to use logic to prove I am there. Logic can disprove that I am there, but I know I am there, right? So my existence that I am conscious entity, logically, Anumana, somebody used Anumana. Anumana I don't need, Pratyaksha I don't need, any means of knowledge I need, because I know I am there. Because I am there, everything else I can prove. But my existence that I am conscious entity, I don't need any proof. It is because it's why self-existent. And also I am self-conscious also. I am conscious entity. I don't need any other fellow to tell me that I am there, right? So that is what exactly the changeless entity has to be there in the changing entity. And that's what is called Brahman. How do you detach yourself from an incidence where death occurred to your beloved child? I think the Buddha story is there. Remember Buddha's story? I don't know if you remember. Some lady went to Buddha because the child is died, and the mother wants Buddha to make the child alive because she is so much attached to it. So what does Buddha can do to that weeping mother. Say, he cannot give Vedanta philosophy to her at that time. She is not ready for it. So he said, okay, I can do it, but bring some mustard seeds or something from some house so that I can make, because I need that in order to make the baby alive. So, okay, that's not a problem. But remember, go and bring mustard seeds from the house where there is no death, because this has to be very pure. So, okay, I'll find out. She went all over and asked for mustard seeds. They were ready to give, but you should give only if I can take it only if there is no death in your family. So she couldn't find any house that she went all over where there is no death. So then she realized what exactly, that is common for everybody. It goes everybody. Nobody lives permanently here. We are only temporarily. Remember, that is the wonder of all wonders. We think we are going to be here permanent. And Dharmaraja says, this is the greatest wonder. We see everybody is being born, everybody is dying also, and we think we are going to live forever here. This is Yaksha Prasna I mentioned yesterday. So this recognition that everybody will have problems, everybody there is a death involved, everybody has to go in through this. I am not much special here. The very recognition of that makes me detached. Okay, that knowledge is required, because that's why Gita Upanishadasa starts, because Arjuna was crying even before death also, they think that they are going to die. They have not died yet, because he started already crying. That's why you are crying where there is no reason for you. Sochan anvasochatvam, right? There is no reason for you to cry, because how can you die? From the physical matter itself, matter is conserved. It came from the food, sustained by the food, it goes back into food only. So food, my body doesn't go. And according to this Vedanta, it says the soul is also died. What dies there? It's only separation of the subtle body from the gross body, that's all. So we call it in India, it says Mar Gaya, right? Mar Gaya means, in Telugu, Chachipoyinadu, Pui. That means he died and gone somewhere. That means he left his body, that's all. He is there somewhere. So when he is there, why are you crying unnecessarily? He thought that better may place there than this place here. That's all. So by understanding the laws of nature, one can transcend this process. Essentially, what kind of sadhana does one have to do to realize that death never occurred? Recognize that I am never born. That sadhana is required. Sadhana means understanding that I am never born. Therefore, there is no death. Only that which is born has to die. Jatasya dhruvo mritsyuhu. That which is born has to die. That's a law. Whatever you do, that's a law. But then what should I do to be immortal? To recognize that you are already immortal. That's all you have to do. How? Because you are not the body. That's what the whole Gita Upanishad start there. How can you die? So one who died and one who killed and all those things is only because of misunderstanding. So understand clearly that I am deathless because I am birthless also. So someone asked Swamiji, do you believe in a reincarnation? See, I don't believe in first carnation. How can I believe in reincarnation? I am not even born first time. Because Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Ajaha nityam, I am eternal, I am unborn. And that's the declaration of the scriptures. Therefore, only I can cross the death, real death, by understanding that I am never born. All other death is only physical separation, but I am going to different lokas and being born with the different bodies only. So I never die also. In this life journey of life priority, among others, to realize that has always existed, please help how to prioritize. First priority is mark your Memorial Day weekends. Because that way you are prioritizing. Priority is what is more important for you. People say, I have to go here, I have to go there, I need to go there, I don't have time for it, because you don't have priorities in life. You do your priorities in your own way. What is more important? There are 100 different things. You think the 24 hours is not enough, but at the same time, you priorities what is more important for you. Only thing is, you have to think this is more important than other things. That priority you have to establish, and that you will establish once you understand the glory of this Atma Vidya. You yourself will do it. For that you have to know the glory of it by listening to scriptures only, by attending satsangatve nissangatvam, nissangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivanmuktaha. By satsang you can get. Don't go to satsang to evaluate the teacher there. Okay? Hey, this teacher is not realized, that teacher is realized, but this teacher, I'm going there to give certificates to the teachers. That's not the way. If you get help, listen. Otherwise, just walk out. Because other people are there to learn. So, if you have the motivation to want to, then you will get it. And all things will fall in place for you. But you have to sacrifice and give up that you don't think unnecessary, so that you can devote, because time is fixed. You still have to take care of whatever that need to be taken care. At the same time, spare time you have to devote to this. Namaskaram Sadaji. Why did Krishna born as eighth child? I think we should ask Krishna, right? That question. Why did Krishna born as eighth child, not the first child? Oh. That way 7 children could be saved. Just now we said there is no death and there is no birth. So who is saving what? And Krishna has to be born, and this is my explanation, not Krishna's explanation, please. For that you have to ask Krishna only. There is no other way. So I'm only giving a explanation at my level. So the way I interpret is, that Krishna has to make sure that Kamsa's papam has to mature enough for him to do the action. What the action? To killing of Kamsa. But for that, he has to be prepared properly. For that only, first few births are given, where he first convinced Vasudeva convinces there is no point in killing because it's the 8th child, not the first child. I don't know if you know the story. So, but remember Narada comes there. Who sent Narada? Bhagavan only sends Narada. Who sends? So he says, what does he do? Hey, we don't know which is 8th or not. It is maybe first child itself, maybe. So it's better make sure that it is the son of Vasudeva is the problem. So he started killing all the other children also that he earlier spared. So this is only for the maturity of the sin, so that Krishna can finish off the rest. This is my explanation, please. So maybe if you don't like it, you could ask Krishna why he spared the 7 children. Okay? With that, we are finished. We have a couple of 5 more minutes. I guess relax a little bit, come back, and then we'll start the talks.